Hello, this is Gina Herrera at the Colorado Department of Education. Welcome to our webinar. We will be talking this afternoon about the transition quality indicators for students with significant support needs. This is part one of a two-part webinar series. The second part will be a live webinar. So this afternoon, we're very excited to present this information to you. We're excited to have this product completed, and hopefully it will be helpful to you. So I'd like to introduce our presenters this afternoon. We have a couple of our instructional coaches for significant support needs. Let me introduce to you Dixie Perryman and Kara Halley.
All right, welcome. This is Kara Halley.
And I'm Dixie Perryman. I'm one of the instructional coaches for the Department of Education.
And we're really excited about the transition quality indicators, and we hope that you get information from this webinar that will be useful for your school or your classroom. So
today we're going to be discussing the new quality indicators that we've developed for use of students with significant support needs, ages 18 to 21. We will show you the transition indicators, where they're located on the website. We'll define them and explain the importance of these indicators. You also understand the importance of using them to improve post-school outcomes for students with significant support needs. We will describe how to use these indicators within the transition services in your district or BOCES. These are the steps to successful graduation and post-school outcomes for all students. Our indicators will assist you and your teachers in providing services to reach this goal of quality post-school outcomes for our students with significant support needs.
So just to give you a little background information, we started off by developing quality indicators for services for students that had significant support needs. And these quality indicators had one section that focused on transition services. So if you're not familiar with the quality indicators for assessing individualized services for students K-12 with significant support needs, we've included the website of where you can find those. And if you click on that website, you will see the document that will be brought up. And I'm going to bring that up now just to show you where these are located. So when you click on the link, you're going to come to this page that has the quality indicators located on them. And if you click on this link here, you'll see a variety of different resources on here that have to do with the quality indicators. But the link for the quality indicators is this very first link right here. So when you click on that, it'll bring them up. It also has some scoring sheets that can be used, like if your principal wants to use these, or if you as the teacher want to use these, they're available, and I would highly recommend you use these to evaluate your program or to just help understand what services are needed for students that have more significant support needs. But back to the transition quality indicators, we have been using the K-12 quality indicators, and we realized that those quality indicators did not necessarily meet the needs for our 18 to 21-year-old programs. And so what we did was we formed a committee of some of the coaches and people on our SSN network, and we researched what are the best practices for transition services for students that have more significant disabilities in the area of transition. And we looked at other states, we looked at research, we looked at to see were there quality indicators that other states had that might meet the needs of our state. And from that research that we did, we developed the quality indicators that we're presenting today. It didn't start out in this form because we had to go through a variety of different steps. So once we sort of came up with the quality indicators in a draft form, we shared and solicited feedback from a lot of different educators throughout the state of Colorado. We presented the quality indicators at the Transition Summer Institute, and we also presented them to Courage to Risk and asked people at those conferences to give us feedback and look through them. We also asked a variety of different districts to pilot the transition quality indicators. They also went through different consultants from CDE on a vetting process on a couple different times. And then our final step was really to present these to the state director's leadership team for feedback and also for their approval. And so what you have for our presentation today is the final copy of these transition quality indicators. So the purpose of the transition quality indicators are really to focus on the very unique needs that students with more significant support needs have. And these quality indicators are really set out to give you guidance in developing and implementing and evaluating the transition services that are being provided to these students. Each of the indicators you'll see is based on research-based practices that have been proven to help students improve their post-school outcomes. So are they able to become employed? Are they out in their communities? Do they have a high quality of life? What does it look like? So those practices that will lead to improving those post-school outcomes are what these quality indicators are based on. And then they're also, of course, a continuation from our K-12 indicators. So the next document that we'd like you to pull up, and at this point, if you want to pause the webinar and print these off, that would be great. If not, again, you go to the website that I just showed you for the regular quality indicators, K-12 quality indicators, and the transition quality indicators can be downloaded from that same site. So when you pull these up, this is what they'll look like. Let me make sure I'm sharing this. And so you should see a document that says quality indicators for transition services for students with significant support needs.
Can we go to the next one?
And so we're going to kind of walk through the remainder of the webinar that you can kind of walk through and look at the quality indicator document as we're going through the rest of the webinar.
Okay, this document, which you can find this information on page 3 if you have yours open, consists of 2 domain areas. Under each domain are indicators, such as transition assessment. Under each indicator are several components which outline the extent of coverage for each of the indicators. Each component is rated. The ratings are fully implemented, partially implemented, emerging, not implemented at all, And the rater then would check whether the information was observed or reported.
And if you're looking at your document, there's a link, if you have it pulled up on your computer, there's a link that actually says rubric that gives you some more information about that scoring rubric that you can look at. So just to give you an overview of what's included in the quality indicators, we really tried to follow closely the taxonomy for transition planning when we were developing our transition quality indicators. So if you're familiar with that document, our document has very similar areas. So we have actually two different domains: student-focused planning, which includes transition assessment and self-determination, self-advocacy as the indicators underneath that domain. And then the second domain is the student development. And this domain actually includes 6 different indicators: academics, communication, home living and consumer skills, community inclusion, workplace skills, and interagency collaboration.
So we'll kind of walk through these indicators so that you can kind of see what's contained. As we mentioned, transition assessment is one of the indicators. This is an ongoing process. It's not a single one-time event. Over time, a student's strengths, their interests, needs, preferences are recorded. Since this assessment process is very individualized, it therefore needs to be customized and very accessible for all students with significant support needs. A variety of methods need to be used, such as observing the student across a variety of people and environments, conducting situational assessments over a certain designated period of time, interviewing family and friends, and of course, talking with the student. The results are then utilized to determine services, instruction, and activities that are appropriate for each student. This is a very collaborative process centered around the student and the family, involving community agencies and resources associated with each student. Oh, you got it. Self-determination and self-advocacy are indicators under student-focused planning domain. This area refers to including the student in all aspects of the planning process. The student attends IEPs, or should attend them, and is involved in that process, developing his or her IEP and post-school goals. Instruction is provided in decision-making skills, teaching the students how to make choices, how to set their goals, how to solve problems in everyday life. Post-school goals are developed using a student-centered process, such as maps or paths, or some similar futures planning format. Parents and family members are closely involved in order to learn and support their young adult child in this transition to adulthood.
All right. And so just to reiterate, if you're looking at your transition quality indicator document, you can see these under the link that says indicators. And so if you want to follow along, you can kind of see what it looks like for the scoring. So as you look at the different components under each indicator, you can see they're sort of focusing on what is going to make up that indicator. So academics is the next indicator area. And when you think about academics, I think a lot of times once students have reached that 18 to 21-year-old program, we're not necessarily thinking that they're needing that math and literacy instruction, but in fact they are. And really what we're looking at for academics within our 18 to 21-year-old programs is academic instruction that's going to prepare students for significant support needs for a full life. So what literacy or math skills are they going to need in order to be independent, in order to become employed, in order to attend post-secondary education, be out in the community, be able to participate in recreation and leisure activities? So what are we going to need to provide them so that they're not lacking those academic skills when they leave us? The main thing that you want to know about academics is that you can't teach these in isolation. So these are things that need to take place in the natural settings where you're going to expect students to be able to perform that skill. So that's going to take some planning. You're going to have to get out of the classroom and find out where they can generalize those skills. The other component of academics is really a discussion of when a student is going to take their diploma, what that's going to look like, what are the options for diploma or certificate of completion, and how might those options affect the choices that they have or the opportunities that they have after they get out of high school. A lot of times if a student doesn't receive a regular diploma, that might have some effect on their opportunities after they get out of school.
Another component is in the communications indicator. You will notice that a lot of these, if you're familiar with the K-12 SSN quality indicators, they're pulled directly from there. But they relate to students in the 18 to 21 service program. This area seems short and easy, but it is far from it. What device or modality should a student use in the community so that clerks, employers, co-workers, other adults can understand their wants and needs? The answer could be complicated as we consider the family desires, a private provider's therapy approach, and observations of school staff of these students in a variety of community environments. So this indicator is very important to their success in adult life.
All right, the next area indicator is home living and consumer skills. And this is interesting because I think a lot of times when you go into 18 to 21-year-old programs, a lot of times they'd like to either focus on either academics or functional skills. And really, under IDEA, we're mandated that we need to be addressing both academic and functional proficiency for students in this population. So what this looks like is that the home living and consumer skills really are those skills that are going to help that individual student become an independent, functioning individual within their community. So what skills are they going to need in order to be as independent as possible and have that successful adult life? So what learning experiences are going to be needed? And when we think about functional skills, we're really wanting you to focus on age-appropriate skills that take into account what that student is interested in. And again, these skills shouldn't be taught in isolation. They shouldn't be taught where the student isn't going to be able to generalize that skill to where we actually want them to use them. So of course, information for the family is an important part here, giving them resources about what options are available for living situations and arrangements, as well as different leisure and recreation activities that are available wherever they see their student living in their future.
The next indicator is community inclusion. This is a huge area for this age group. Research does indicate that our students who are included while in K-12 school classes are also likely to be included in the community post-high school by their friends and family. And of course, the transition services staff who provide community-based instruction as the core of their services for 18 to 21 age group. So examples of this inclusion are, they could be alongside coworkers on a work experience site or in a competitive employment position. They could be using facilities with opportunities to develop recreation and friendships. They could be developing networks, social networks established throughout the community at shops and other businesses in their local area. The transition services staff provide opportunities for students to participate in group or individual age-appropriate community activities. These should meet each student's interest or preference. Families, of course, have a big role to play in assisting the staff in connecting students with activities and shopping areas that are close to them and ones they will be utilizing in the future. So the family and the staff must work closely together as community employment, social, recreational sites are explored during this period of time.
All right, the next indicator is workplace skills. And when you look at the research in this area, it really shows that those students that have significant support needs, if they're able to have work experience while they're still in high school, it really is more likely that they're going to be employed once they leave the school system. And so in our 18 to 21-year-old programs, we really want students to be out there receiving instruction in work skills and having those experiences paid or unpaid, so that they can develop those positive work habits and attitudes so that once they leave the school system, they are going to be more likely to be employable. For students that have more significant support needs, this might require that they have a variety of different work experiences. So it's difficult for them to pinpoint what might be a suitable career path or employment for them if they haven't really had the opportunity to get out there and try some things. And whether they like that type of work or not, it really leads to them sort of honing in on what might be their choice once they get out of the school system. In this indicator area, we really like the idea of natural supports. Of course, the school system, once we're out, we're kind of out, and other people are going to be taking up the support for that student. So the collaboration piece between families and agencies and employers is really an important component of this indicator. Making sure that the family is on board with their student working at a certain site, coming together with different agencies that might provide job coaches, talking with employers, providing disability awareness, even for co-workers that might be working with that individual student. And then, of course, ongoing training for the school staff in how to best match students with a job that fits their skills, that fits their interests, helping them learn how to fade supports, doing some job carving, and really making sure that that student ideally could leave their 18 to 21-year-old program already having a job lined up.
The next area is interagency collaboration. This indicator is very important because these are the representatives, adult service agencies that will be assisting the student after graduation. Those representatives should be invited to IEP meetings or just a meeting with parents and students during the 18 to 21 age time. The transition staff facilitate these meetings, and they need to clarify the roles between the school services, the family, and adult services. They have shared responsibilities, and we want to make sure that's clear to families and to the student. Who is doing what? This is the last indicator, and then we will move on to how you can use them.
So how can these be used? And hopefully you've gotten kind of a feel as you've been looking through the transition document of the different components that are under each indicator. Maybe you're thinking about your program or your school and how these might fit in to your 18 to 21-year-old program. But there's a variety of different ways that these have been used and that you can use them within your setting. So first of all, at the state level, we have an SSN network, and we're going to talk about this a little more in depth, but it's been used to evaluate transition services across the state of Colorado, and do some instructional coaching in this area within different school systems and different settings, and has really looked at what professional development needs are needed at the state level. At the district level, different districts are able to use these to evaluate their transition services, make sure that they have the things in place that they need. This could be done by administration, or this could be just done by an individual teacher. Like maybe you're a new teacher to the 18 to 21-year-old program and you didn't really get a lot of information in your teacher prep program. These transition indicators could help you with understanding what components of those services maybe you're lacking or that you need to focus on. So really determining what professional development is needed. And then they've also been used at the college or university level for talking with those pre-service teachers, discussing different topics and providing instruction, as well as doing informal evaluation and reflection. So at the state level, just to give you a little more in-depth information about our SSN network, school districts are actually able to apply for, by contacting Gina Herrera, in order for our state SSN network to come in and work with your transition teacher or staff. And we essentially go through the quality indicators with the staff, collect the data, see how you feel you're doing in your program. A couple of coaches might come out and look at your program, observe, fill out the indicators, and then discuss what they see as maybe some priorities for you to focus on in your program. And it really is a collaborative process where we sit down, we talk about, how we can help you develop an action plan in order to get your program up to 80% of full implementation of the quality indicators. And so we might provide coaching, we might provide training for your staff, things like that. So if you feel like that something is of interest to you or might be needed in your school district, then that's something that is available to apply for.
So what would staff at the school or district level do to utilize these quality indicators? We've talked about that a little bit, but just to review, supervisors might use these indicators for an evaluation of the existing transition services, or The transition staff might use them to just reflect upon current services and what they might do for professional development. Or you could certainly do both. In either or both cases, you would then compile the data, review that with the transition team. There could be areas that the team or administrator wants to target for improvement. An action plan would be developed indicating what goals the team intends to achieve, the steps for implementation, the person who's responsible or persons, resources needed, a timeline for completion. All of this is on the form that's provided in the document. After implementing the action plan, it should be reviewed periodically to determine if progress is being made toward the goals. At the time of the review, a new goal could be set or additional resources and training might be needed in order to accomplish the goal. At the end of the year, you would reassess services using the quality indicators to set priorities for the coming year. So these transition quality indicators can be used as a tool for ongoing evaluation and/or yearly process to establish goals and action plans, or both. However it is utilized, be sure to celebrate what you're accomplishing along the way.
All right. So we just want to provide you with a link to a video, and it's actually on the CD website. And so if you go to the website, you could either click on this link here, which leads you to a YouTube page with the video, or you can also go to the CD website and view the video there, and you'll see it here. But it's about 20 minutes, but essentially it walks you through the steps for completing the quality indicators. It gives you information on scoring the quality indicators, on the purpose, how they could be used, and the process, that 10-step process that Dixie just shared with you. It gives you more in-depth detail for how that might be implemented. So if you have time, you can watch the video. We're not going to show that today, but we wanted to make sure that you knew it was available. And it actually is set up for the quality indicators, the K-12 quality indicators, but the concept is essentially the same. The steps are essentially the same. It would just be that you would be using the transition quality indicators.
Kara and I want to thank you for attending this webinar today. We're available to assist you in using this tool as needed. Contact Gina at CDE if you're interested in pursuing support in this area. Kara and I will be available to help you implement quality indicators to meet the needs of your individual school district, service program, or BOCES. All of our contact information is on this slide. Thanks again.
Thank you.